So in Silverlight 4 there is new support for drag and drop functionality. So that basically means that a user can drag files from their computers into your Silverlight application. This can be very useful in a mapping application. So I'm just going to show you a quick demo of what I've done with ArcGIS Server and this new drag and drop support. Okay, so here you can see just a simple Silverlight application built using the ESRI ArcGIS Server Silverlight API. And in this scenario, what the user would like to do in this application is they want to add their own data on top of the base map. And this data they want to add is just coordinates where they can specify an X and Y and then a description in a text file. And they would like to add this text file and render the points on top of the map, right? So in Silverlight 3 and 2, they had to sort of use the add data dialog and select the file and click open, right? And as you can see now, the points are rendered on top of the base map. If we just clear that, because in Silverlight 4 the user can now as well also drag and drop files into the application. So instead, if we just sort of select this coordinate file, drag that here onto the stack panel and drop it, and there you can see now I have rendered the points by dragging and dropping that text file. Okay, right, so the only thing you need to do as a developer to enable this functionality is that you need to have a UI element, and in my case I have a stack panel, which is this grey box. This is the area where the user can drop files into, right? The only thing you need to do to this stack panel is you need to change one property, which is the allow drop property, set that to true, and then just wire up the drop event, and that's basically all you have to do in order to enable this functionality. So if I just go back to Visual Studio and show you the stack panel. Here's the stack panel. As you can see, I have set the allow drop property to true. I have also wired up this drop event, and as you can see up here as well, I have also wired up a drag enter and a drag leave event. And basically they are just sort of changing the background color of the stack panel just to give it a bit better user experience. But the main event is this one, which is when the user have dropped one or multiple files on top of your stack panel. So if we just have a quick look at that code, as you can see in this function, you could actually cast the data on the event arcs into an array of file info. And then basically all you need to do is you need to loop through each of these file info in this array, and then you can just do whatever you want to do with the files. In my case, I would just drop in one text file into the stack panel, which means that I'm only going to run this for each loop once. But what I'm doing here is I'm just passing in the file info into my function, and this function is just basically open up the text file, grabbing all the coordinates, the X and Y coordinates, and just stick them into a graphics layer and display them on the map, right? So that's all I have to do to enable this drag and drop support. One important thing here as well is that you obviously need to add some error handling and some checks to make sure what type of files that's sort of passed into the function. So that's something I haven't done yet, but which obviously need to be implemented as well. Okay, so the last thing I'd like to show you is, if we just go back here to the application. In the first example I was just dragging a text file with coordinates into the stack panel, right? What I would like the user to be able to do now is to drag a shapefile into this stack panel instead. So if user have a shapefile locally on their machine, they can just drag the shapefile into the stack panel. I want that to be rendered on top of the base map. In order to do so, I'm just gonna go back here into the code. I'm gonna comment that out. I'm already prepared a function which I call add shapefile. This one is taking a file info array, so I'm just gonna pass in my file info array. And that's all I'm gonna do. So now the user, if we have cities folder here, so now the user can just drag in this shapefile into the stack panel, and the cities are now rendered on top of the base map. So that's quite cool actually, that you now in a web application can display your own data on top of the base map by just dragging and dropping data into your web application direct.